Greetings and great day to everyone. This is the Sui Indigenous Tribal Courts, and I am the JC Yashar'el and Harmon'El, and AKA also known as Silver Moon in the nation. Okay, so today is November 2nd, 2021, and we are actually going to, since it is election day, we are going to address some legal matters concerning elections and us participating in other nations' actions. Okay, and so we are going to begin with just reviewing a conversation that takes place between the prophet Samuel and Yahuwah. And of course, we must give thanks and prayer to Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yashar'el, Yah. I ask that you lend us your ear and you provide us with the knowledge, the wisdom, and understanding that is necessary in order for us to operate and walk in your word side by side with you without any of our individual, personal or perspectives regarding you, what it is that you have communicated to your prophets and then left for us to read about. Okay, so with that, I want to these days I just want to say a thank you, Toda, to Yah and to you, his children. There's a lot that is happening in the world. As I indicated, today is election day, and no matter what happens, it appears that our people continue to engage and support these other nations in their efforts to cut us off and to keep us as the tail as opposed to the head. And so I'm going to read from 1 Samuel chapter 8, wherein Yah is having a conversation with Samuel regarding his the message that he has relayed to the people. Okay, so 1 Samuel chapter 8, let's turn to that so that we can actually read together. All right, if you do not understand why it is that I, the JC, am reading from our casebook, okay, I told you I'm going to refer to what is known as the Bible or the Sefer and whatever other language it is called the book. And it is the book because it is the legal book, the log book that has that was written by Yah, by those he chose to write, okay, to write our history story. Yes, the people in the book are us. They are indigenous people, and what I mean by indigenous, I am talking about the original Adam, okay? They are the descendants direct from Adam and Chawah, okay? And they populated the earth, and then we, the children of Yashar'el, are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, who is Jacob, and so it is just so wonderful to be able to be in a position where I have willingly chosen to serve Yah, and instead of the adversary, and to be in a place where I have the knowledge. Okay, I pray for wisdom and I pray for understanding every day, because being in captivity, okay, captivity involves us being under the control of any other nation aside from our own. We have been brainwashed, we have been miseducated, we have been misled, all to the benefit of the adversary. Okay, and the adversary is the enemy of Yah. All right, and so therefore they are our enemy. Okay, and they have proven that in every way, despite what what laws they have passed, and despite what it is that they say. Actions speak louder than words, and as they have shown us time and time and time again, they care not for us. And so on this November 2nd, which is an election day here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as other places, okay, we are going to begin. This court is in session. And remember, I have told you that as above, so below. Okay, there is nothing that happens down here that they are unaware of in the heavens, and that is also, not being happening up there, especially court. The courts of heaven are in session, and the adversaries, wicked courts, are taking place down here. And so to balance that, to balance things, the courts are also holding hearings, and the angels, or the the angels, Yah's sons, children, they are presenting our petitions before the court. And so here I'm going to read, I hope that you are with me, chapter 8 of Samuel 1. And so we are going to begin. And it came to pass, when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judges over Yashar'el. Now the name of his firstborn was Yoel, and the name of his second Abiyahu. They were judges in Beersheba, and his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment. Then all the elders of Yashar'el gathered themselves together, and came to Shemuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, you are old, and your sons walk not in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. Now, there have been there are a lot of things happening, I mentioned, in the world, but also personally. My life is happening just like your life. Okay, I'm not sitting behind a desk or behind a title and pretending as if I am not being affected by what is happening in the world. I am. I have family issues, just as our ancestors did in the book. The prophets had issues with their family. Noah had issues with his family. Abraham had issues with his family. So all of us who are sounding the shofar, okay, we're human. We have human issues. Okay, it's not that we're in front of the camera and we're like, oh, we're perfect and nothing is going on with us. Oh no, we have issues. Okay, there are everyday issues that we are facing and dealing with. And just because I have whatever titles it is that I have, whatever education I have, I am a child of Yah, and I'm here with you. Okay, and we are all going through it. We are all going through it. And so I am no better than you at all. At all. And so I say that because one of the things that I have been, I've been dealing with a lot, okay? And that includes with my family. And so I was just thinking and talking to Yah, and just asking him, what is it that he wanted me to do? Because it is my intention to have the courts in session every day. That is whether I am, is regardless, the courts are in session. If the courts are in session in the heavens, and then of course the courts are in session here, even when they don't tell you the courts are in sessions, the wicked courts here are in session. They are dealing with administrative matters behind the scenes. So even throughout the pandemic, when they said the courts were closed, they weren't closed. They were still operating. Believe me, okay? And I have something that I will share with you just to show that they were operating. As information has come to me, Yah is just revealing to me, things that I may have missed, or perhaps it just wasn't meant for me to receive that information at the time. Yes. So one of the reasons why I am, or that it came to me that I should share, that I should read with you, Samuel, and then also the book of Jasher, is that, we are living in times wherein our people continue to vote for the enemy, to have power over them. That is what's happening. When they say that they have these elections, these people who they elect, who they choose to oversee them, they utilize the the turnouts, the numbers of people who have gone and so-called chosen the individuals to rule over them. They use that as their authority to do what they're doing, and that is to to place our people under threat, duress, coercion, to murder us, to force us into human trafficking. Because when we enter their venues, their courts, their jurisdictions, the majority of us end up being kidnapped and captured and placed in a facility where where our liberties and our freedom is taken away. And the individuals who you choose, who you have placed to to serve, placed over you to make these decisions, they are making decisions that are not to your benefit at all, not to your benefit. And so I wanted to pause and to just to explain, like, why we are reading this. Okay, why I guess it came to me to read this to you. First Samuel, this conversation Yah is having with Samuel, and then also the book of Jasher, wherein we are dealing with a son who is having problems with his father. Okay, his father turns him over, betrays him, and yet he, because of his unrelenting love for Yah, he does what he has to do despite what his father does, despite. And you will begin to see how those who were fully committed to Yah, they were unshakable. It is a strength. An alignment with Yah provides you with an unshakable strength that you will see nowhere. Okay, you will see nowhere. And so I am here to give you, to empower you through this court. My position through the court is to empower you, with the law and the word of Yah. Okay, with the law and the word of Yah. And it is through the law and the word of Yah that Yah is going to work his miracles. Okay, it's interesting. Through his laws, through his words, we are going to receive his miracles. There's no other way. He set it up that way. No matter what any interference, obstacles, monkey wrenches, whatever you want to call them, the adversary tries to throw, it's not going to work. Okay? Unshakable. This is Yah. All right? And when Yah is behind you, who can be against you? For today, that is my encouragement for you. So let's continue. Picking up with chapter 8, verse 6. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, "Give us a king to judge us." And Samuel prayed unto Yahweh, and Yahweh said unto Samuel, "Hearken unto the voice of the people and all that they say unto you. For they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. according to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Mizraim, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me, and serve other Elohim, so do they also unto you. And so I'm going to stop there because, again, today is election day, and our people back then, okay, this is during, the time where, this is before King David, okay, because remember when this happens, if you're familiar with this particular case, okay, this is the case of Samuel, okay, and this is the case of Samuel. When we deal with cases in the adversary's court, they will say, like, for example, state versus whatever. So this is in re Samuel, okay, because we don't really have anyone who is suing Samuel, but this is a case that is involving Samuel, okay. So it is like the estate, okay, because if you have a case that goes before, like, the probate court or something, it'll say in re, in regards, say like the Harmon estate or whatever. So here we have in re Samuel, okay, and in what the conversation that is happening between Samuel and Yah is that Yah is like, look, Yah is telling Samuel that you've done your part, and the people have come to you and they're telling you that they don't want me. So these, our ancestors, did not want the creator of all. They did not want Yah. Haya, okay? The Elohim. The one who formed us, okay? Molded us from the dirt. Took us from the dirt, molded us, and then breathed the breath of life into us. Did not want our creator to reign over them. And so they went to Samuel and they begged Samuel for a king, okay? They wanted a living being to rule over them. Not Yah, but a living being who was nothing compared to Yah. Nothing. There is no living being who is of equal to our creator. But this is what the people asked for. And so Yah said, don't worry about it, Samuel. He was like, the people are not, like, he's like, don't get it twisted, okay? What you need to understand is, okay, he's using that parent tone. You can defend it because you're taking it personal. However, my children, they're not rejecting you. My children are rejecting me. And he says, you know what? As many parents often do, they say, you know what? Instead of me getting upset with my child who thinks they know everything, who thinks they know better than I do, let's give them what they want. Let's give them what they want so that we can teach them a lesson. My child has to be learned a lesson. And so, since they don't know, since they lack understanding, then it's time for them to be taught a lesson so that they can perhaps acquire some understanding. They don't want me to be their parent. They want to go out there and they want a foster parent. They want, they want an adopted parent. And mind you, this is not because the parent is not there. This is because they don't want the parent. In today's society, we actually have it where the children can divorce their parents. They can emancipate themselves. They can sever themselves from their biological parents. So there's nothing new under the sun. Our people, no different from today. Back then, they didn't even want the creator to be their parent. So in today's society, where we are dealing with people who and a lot of people would think that today's occurrences are different from yesterday's occurrences. But when you read our case law, there's no difference. Our case law remains. It remains. It is in perpetuity. Okay? It is in perpetuity. It still applies today. The same issues. And these are issues that Yah was having with his children. Children who, back then, our ancestors knew who their Elohim was. There was no issue. Not like there's an issue today with, the majority of us not knowing who our creator is, or denying, even if we do know who our creator is. So Yah is like very patient, very merciful. Oh yeah, many of you always talk about how merciful and patient our Elohim is. But he's also a disciplinarian. Absolutely. He's a disciplinarian. He is a parent, I guess, for lack of a better title, a parent. Not as in a parent, as in like, it just, you can see him, but he's parenting, okay? And he is the first parent ever. Everyone else came after him, okay? So Aviyah is having this conversation with Samuel, and so we're going to pick up where we left off. So at the end, okay, so he's like, no, they have forsaken me. They have forsaken me. They want somebody else to be their parent. Okay, they want somebody else to reign over them. They want somebody else to be their king. Okay, they don't want me to be their king. Okay, how offensive, how crude can we as a people be? It's rude. That is rude. Everything that we have, everything is because of Yah. Everything. All the stuff that we have, even the just having the ability to walk around and breathe, inhale and exhale. And at any time, he can take his breath away from any one of us. And there is nothing that we will be able to do. Nothing. But yet, in all of our arrogance and ignorance and lack of understanding, here it is, our ancestors, okay, didn't want him to be the king. So they go to Samuel and they say, we want a human king, okay? All right. So let's continue. We are at verse 10, chapter 8 of Samuel 1. And Shemuel told all the words of Yahweh unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, this will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons. Now, mind you, everything with not just Yah, but everything that we do in life forms a contract. I told you, this is the courts coming to you. I speak law to you, okay? Yah speaks law. Everything that he does is about law, okay? We got family law because we're dealing with family matters, okay? Now we're dealing with contractual matters. It's like, okay, y'all came to me with y'all want to proposition me. Okay. All right. Let me hear what you got to say. Okay. All right. So this is what you want. This is what you want from me. This is what you're offering me. Okay. All right. Well, here, I'm going to counter that offer. Okay. I'm going to give you what you want. However, let me counter it. Let me give you the terms upon which I'm going to do this for you. All right. So, Yah, this is the master lawyer. Master. Okay. So Yah says, so he said, this will be the manner of the king. Manner. These are the terms under which you will receive a king. He's speaking contract law to him. These will be the terms that you shall receive a king that shall reign over you. And he proceeds as follows. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen. And some shall run before his chariots, This is what you asked for. Okay. Number 1, this is what will happen. Number 2, and he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over 50s, and will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war, and instruments of his chariots. He's setting out the terms. Can't you just see, like, him just writing it out? Like, okay, this is what you want? Okay. Let's sit down at the table. This is going to be the agreement between, okay, you want me to step to the side, you don't want me to be king, then I'm going to give you a king, but these are the conditions under which I'm going to give you a king. This king is going to do all this. This is what the king is going to do. Number 3, and he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. There's going to be a separate video, okay, regarding the laws governing the daughters of Yah. All right? Because the sons of Yah are in total violation of what they have been doing to the daughters of Yah. And this is not going to be based upon my interpretation. I am here to give you law. This is a case. Law. This is case law given by Yah. All right? That's what I'm here to do. 4, and he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. He gonna take your property? What the heck? But I thought when we purchase property, I thought it's supposed to be ours. But what does he say here? He's gonna take it. Oh my gosh. Did Yah incorporate eminent domain into the agreement? Because you said you wanted a king other than him? Eminent domain. King, government, whomever. Somebody over you who is another being ruling over you, who can then come in and just take what they want from you, regardless of whether it is yours. Sound familiar? Well, that's what you asked for. That is what you agreed to. And yeah, you did agree to it. Remember, you made an offer. Yah made a counter offer. You sat and you listened to the terms upon which you would receive what you asked for. And now we're going to continue. Number 5, and he will take the 10th of your seed and of your vineyards, and give to his officers and to his servants. More taking. More taking. And number 6, and he will take your manservants and your maidservants and your goodliest young men and your asses. That's donkeys, okay? Yeah, asses is in here, all right? It's not a cuss word. It is how you refer to the donkey. Unpervert your minds. We are adults, and as adults deal with adult matters. And put them to his work. So he's going to take all of your chattel as well as your hired hands, okay? And he then is going to take them and use them as his hired hands. He's going to take your property and he's going to use your property as his property. 7. He will take the 10th of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. Whoa. It's like, not only is he going to take everything that you have, but he is then going to take you, you, and he's going to make you also his subject, his citizen, his resident, citizen, servant, slave. Because that's what you asked for. Be mindful of what you say, your words, your deeds, your thoughts. Into the ethers, you manifest. A contract is not merely something that is on physical paper. When you study contract law, that's the first thing you learn. A contract, the physical document, is merely evidence of the contract. Interesting. So, if it's merely evidence of the contract, so does that mean that a contract does not have to be in writing? 8. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you, and Yahweh will not hear you in that day. Here we are, in the land of our captivity, the most recent one, because there have been so many others, including the one that Yah always references, the one where he came in and he took us from Mizraim. Mizraim is Egypt, for those of you who do not know. You call it Egypt. Oh yeah. The adversary, the enemy. He has renamed so many places, including people, to confound us, to confuse us, to detach us, to keep us ignorant, blind, deaf, and dumb to who and whose we are. I don't need the fluff. I don't need the feeling. Let's just keep it real. Let's be direct. Let's be truthful. Many of you know that what I am saying is true. Because what Yah did, because we're talking about, or at least I mentioned the contract, when Yah blew the breath of life into us, let me tell you something. That was a contract. That was a contract. And at the time, because you didn't have the ability to mutually assent to what he was doing, okay, it was a unilateral contract. Okay, Y'all was like, I'm going to create you, and whew, there you go. Now you're alive. All right? That's a contract. Unilateral. But then, when you begin to live, and you begin to move, and you begin to think, and you begin to operate with the breath that he gave you, and because you had a mind, you had a brain, right? That you were supposed to use to be able to discern, to love, to learn, to think, to understand, right? To develop wisdom. Choice came into the factor. I don't like to really look at it as choice. It's more like a wisdom. Did the adversary, did the enemy replace wisdom with choice? You have a choice. You have a choice. Because in some aspects of life, you really don't have a choice. and some. Think about Jonah and the well. I think, and I'm using law because all throughout the case book, law's case book, Yah's law case book. Let me slow my brain down. The case book is laden with references and discussions and topics about wisdom. Hallelujah. Wisdom. The courts, this court will address wisdom. But wisdom is should be ever present in everything that we do. Let's continue. Okay, so Yah has actually completed his terms. Okay, so now we are at verse 19 of chapter 8, Samuel 1. Nevertheless, the people, despite hearing what Yah says, okay, his terms, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, or Shemuel, and they said, "Nay, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like." You need to pay attention. See, when you are dealing with agreements, contracts, verbal, oral, written, what have you, you know, it behooves you to pay attention. But they weren't really listening. Yah told them, he told them all the terms, and they're just like, they didn't listen. They're just like making noise. Can you imagine? You know how our people are. We don't hear all that. Just give us what we want. Give us what we want. Can you just imagine? Like back then, Samuel presents this to the people, and the people were like, "We don't care. We don't care. We want a king, right? We want a king. We don't want to deal with Yah, or we don't want Yah to be the king over us." And so in verse 20, they actually, how our people, they just talk. They're really, really very good at just talking and not listening. I'm going to repeat that. Our people, very good at running their mouths. And when you're talking, you can't listen and talk at the same time. And we have this thing where we say, I hear you. I hear you. Because you're talking and you're not listening to what I'm saying. No, I hear you. But there's just something about listening. It's like a plane landing, right? You watch a plane landing, you're gonna be like, yeah, the plane landed. But did you really watch it land? Did you really observe it? Did you see what was happening at the time that it was landing? Right? Did you acquire an appreciation for how the plane landed? All of the technical details involved in the landing of a plane. If you're watching it, ever watch airplanes? It's kind of amazing. Or forget the airplane, because man created the airplane by watching certain birds. And who is the creator of the bird? So why don't we talk about? Let's go back to nature, okay? You ever watch a bird an eagle as it's soaring, a falcon. You ever watch a bird and see how it lands? It's just amazing. Just watch it, watch the bird flying, right? And then watch it as it lands. You ever watch it land? When it goes up, its feet, you can't see its feet. You just see like the wings, right? And then as it is descending, right? What do you see? You see it like it's like leveling itself, and it's like gliding, right? And it just comes in for the land, and then you see like its little feet, right? Comes down, and then whew, the wings go down, go back, like that, right? And then it proceeds to to walk and go about his business, right? So, listening is an art, and it is not something that you do when you are running your mouth. So, our ancestors, when Yah presented his terms of the contract, in order for him to give them what they wanted, what they asked for, right? A king. They wanted him to remove himself from being their king, and they wanted him to give them a king. Verse 20, chapter 8, Samuel 1. That we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us, and go out before us and fight our battles. That's what they asked for, because they wanted to be like all of the other nations. With Yah as their king, with Yah as their mighty warrior, with Yah leading the way, with Yah having chosen these people and to live amongst them. Okay? They actually wanted they told Yah that they wanted someone less than Yah to lead them. That is what they say right here. That's not what I am saying. This is what they said. We just read it. You can go back and read it again. Verse 21, chapter 8 of 1 Samuel. And Shemuel heard all the words of the people, and he rehearsed them in the ears of Yahweh. And Yahweh said to Shemuel, hearken unto their voice, and make them a king. Okay. Samuel was the messenger. Not that Yah couldn't hear or whatever, but Samuel's the prophet, and so Yah is communicating with the prophet because the prophet is acting. He's acting as the mediator, right? He's the mediator. The mediator. We have mediators now, right? Within the legal system, people go to school and they actually become a mediator. I don't know if you knew that or not, but yes. So what we have before this wicked system that was devised and that contrived to work against us at the will of Yah, right? Because nothing happens without the will of Yah. Nothing. Samuel, the prophet, has this conversation with Yah, and he lets Yah know what the people said, what the people are begging for, what they're asking for, what they're requesting, what they are. This is what their terms are. Okay? Yah provided his conditions to the contract, and their conditions to the contract was exactly what they said here. Now, they didn't think this through, because they're having a temper tantrum, or they're just looking at the other nations and and um and wanting to be like the other nations, as opposed to just being happy with who they are, whose they are. They wanted to be like the other nations that were not favored by Yah, that didn't have Yah as their king. And so this is what they wanted. So they wanted to remove themselves from being the head and to place themselves amongst the rest. They didn't want to be the head. Because when you got Yah with you, you're the head. Nothing can move you. Nothing. Nothing. And so Yah said in verse 22, and Yahweh said to El Shemuel, hearken unto their voice. Okay, these are their demands. This is what they're demanding. And when you are engaged in negotiations, because that's essentially what's going on here, they're negotiating with Yah through Samuel. And so he says, all right, give them what they want. All right, this is what their demand is. They're demanding, okay, that Yah give them this. Regardless of what Yah is saying, okay, these are the conditions under which I will give you what you asked for. And they're just like, we don't care. Okay, these are our demands, and whatever conditions it is that you give, then, those will be your conditions, but this is what we want. Spoiled brats. I told you. Our relationship with Yah is no different from the relationship that children have with their parents. Yah is our Father. Aliyah. We are his children. All of us. And so hearken unto their voice and make them a king. That's what Yah says, okay? And Shemuel said unto the men of Yashar'el, go ye every man unto his city. Hallelujah. Amen, amen, amen. That right there seals the contract. Okay, we have an agreement. We have an agreement. The contract has been formed. It doesn't say that they put it in writing, but I told you. A contract doesn't have to be in writing. This is merely evidence. This, whether it's written on this type of piece of paper, or, if it comes in the form of like some type of little manual or something. Contract. Okay? You write it on a piece of tissue. What difference does it make? It's memorializing the agreement, right? Yah, and then he has all of his conditions, and then they have their demand, give us a king, right? That's what it'll say. Give us a king. And so then you have the conditions, and then what happens? Yah gives them a king, right? Because that does happen if you are familiar with this particular case. And so as a result of Yah fulfilling his end of the bargain, then what does that mean? It means that it activates all of the terms, right? The conditions. I give you a king. These are the conditions under which I give you a king. He fulfilled his end of the bargain. And as a result of him fulfilling his end of the bargain, which was to give them a king, now all of the conditions were activated. So that's contract law. Contract law is not owned by any of these by no man who has written any laws. Contract law existed way before any man came along and decided that he was going to so-called codify laws. Okay? Way before the Romans. The Romans are not the beginning of nothing except destruction. More destruction. Just unfettered, just unparalleled destruction and evil. Not my opinion. Let their actions speak for themselves. What do you see? Says Yah to Jeremiah. I know we're talking about Samuel, but what do you see? What do you see? Okay, stop believing everything people tell you and allowing for people to gaslight you. To have you thinking that what you see and what you know is to be real isn't. They have you thinking that you're crazy. When they are the orchestrators of the manipulative behavior and acts that's taking place in your life. Master manipulators. And who is the master manipulator? Case law tells us it's who? Hashatan, Shaitan, the devil, Lucifer, and whatever name you want to call him, Mr. Morningstar. What do you see? So I am here to merely encourage you, all right? I am here to encourage you and to help you to understand, just to develop some understanding along with myself. You know, these are conversations I have with Yah on a daily basis. And I guess Yah was like, this is not a conversation just to take place between, like us. This is a conversation because that's supposed to take place between Yashar'el and me, because Yah is the Elohim of Yashar'el. He's not just the Elohim of Rashiel and Harmon. He's my other Yah. However, I know that there are others out there who have the same questions I do. I know you do. And you have to probably having the same conversation with Yah, and Yah's like, this is not a conversation for me to just have with you. This is a conversation for me to have with all of Yashar'el. So he was like, I'm going to put you in a position where you don't have a choice but to go in front of a camera. All right? You don't have a choice. Because that is what is happening in the time that you are there on earth. I didn't create you to be behind the scenes. I tell you, you have a plan, but who is the best of planners? Right? Yah is the best of planners. So that's the today, November 2nd, the election, right? So the election, this is so-called election day. Yashar'el, stop participating in electing these wicked individuals who do not have your interests at heart to rule over you. Yah says he changes not. And the other thing about a contract is, guess what? When you are in breach, when you are the breaching party of that contract, do you not know that unless the non-breaching party releases you from your promise or the end of the bargain that you are supposed to hold up, that it remains. Just because you unilaterally choose in a bilateral contract to not fulfill your end of the bargain doesn't mean that that's the end of it. This is an agreement that we had, and I do not, and perhaps someone can tell me where in our case law book Yah says that this contract is no longer valid. Show me. You can put it in the description. I'm sorry, in the comment section. Show me. Because otherwise this contract remains. And because it remains, we're still operating under this contract. Yah hasn't breached. He gave us a king. And we continue to this day to elect, right? To elect and engage in elections, choosing people to rule over us who don't care anything about us. In fact, they hate us. They hate us. I don't care who they look like. I don't care if it is someone who is of the seed of Yashar'el who is over us. I don't care if it is a Hamite. I don't care if it is a Jephite. The descendants of those seeds, whatever they may call themselves today. I don't even care if it is the children of Lot, Moab, and Ammon, okay? Because they despise us too. All right? Oh, yeah. All of these tribes, families, tribe is nothing but the sons, okay? The sons, they go off and they have children, and then, the descendants then, the sons, they have names, and they go and they name places and things after themselves, okay? So this is how we have come to where we are today, where people have just renamed themselves, but it doesn't sever them. It's a contract. I just told you, our creation is a contract. You can't sever. You cannot sever. You can't change your genetic link to who you are. Okay. You can corrupt it, but that doesn't make you not the child of your mother and father. Yeah, you can corrupt your DNA, but it doesn't not make you not the child of your mother and father. Parental terminations, okay, on paper, man has come up with all types of ways to make himself the Elohim, as opposed to encouraging you to worship your Elohim. He tells you, oh, okay, well, I'm going to decide whether or not you're a good parent or not. And then if we find that you are unfit, then what we will do is our government will file a termination of parental rights. Who? When you were created, were they there? They were not a part. It was you and Yah. It was you and Yah first, right? Yah breathed the breath of life in you. And then the contract was between your mother and your father. All right? And this is where, the development of modern property actually comes into being. It is all connected, but very slowly. Very slowly. Like I said, I am here to educate you, to help you. We're here to help each other, okay? Yah is lending us his ear. He is here. He is being present. And along with his guidance of providing me with the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding, I am to utilize my knowledge to help all of us understand what Yah has been telling us all along, what he left for us in his law book. Hallelujah. His law book. This is Yah's law book. Whew. His law book. I want to show you, like, for example, I have some law books back here, and I'm gonna pick. This is actually a treatise. Okay, and this is another treatise. And so these are like books that have been written by people on particular subjects. Okay, so it would kind of be like someone taking Yah's law book and then writing like a commentary on his book, and the commentary is supposed to help you to grasp a better understanding of what Yah's law book is saying. Okay, so these treaties are essentially, that's what they do for whatever topic like this one is torts and this one is constitutional law, and so for when I was in law school, many of the times I would read the treaties to help me to break down specifically what what I was studying, because like in terms of like the elements. Okay, so for Yah's law case book, right, his law book, Yah is, because Yah is very direct. He is direct. He is not the orchestrator of confusion, which means that there is no ambiguity. Unfortunately, in the translation from the original language that Yah gave us to speak with, whether that is Hebrew or whatever the original language is, it is at this time, based upon the knowledge that I have, that it is known to me that the original book, Yah's law book, was written in Hebrew. Okay, and that being the case, if any of you have studied Hebrew, Hebrew is a language that is very, it is very direct. It is a direct language. And for those of you who are familiar with the jurisprudence, man's jurisprudence laws, okay, you will find that the reason that we have adversaries, right, like as an attorney can argue both sides, okay, because there is ambiguity that is inserted into the laws that man has created. And so based upon that ambiguity, especially coming through interpretations over time, we have Hebrew, and then the Greek, and then the being translated into English, which is widely known even within Europe, throughout Europe, as being a the bastard language, and a very disgusting language, because it is very manipulative, and it has a lot of angles to it. Okay, meaning that it is not a direct language. It is not. And so this is the language that when our colonial captors, okay, when they captured us, the first thing they did was strip us of our language, okay, and then they forced this wicked language upon us to learn. And language depicts your culture. It controls the way that you think. I myself have spoken several languages. I am not going to say that I am fluent in any of them. I have become conversational. I have lived in places where I have been able to utilize the language on a daily basis. And I will tell you that when you begin to speak a particular language, your thoughts, your mind begins to change. How your perception about things, like not about the truth, but there is culture is in the language. And so the more you align yourself, or call yourself, you align yourself with a particular language, when you choose to continue to speak a particular language, you are choosing to basically you're choosing what jurisdiction you are going to allow for your mind to remain in. Okay, so I'm going to put it that way, because I think that is a very good way of explaining or expressing the jurisdiction of language and how it affects the minds of people. Okay, so going back to me showing you, okay, the legal text, because I wanted to do this before, and I have this feeling, there's like this pressing feeling of that I show you, that I share with you something. So here, okay, since I do indigenous rights, right? So I have there are legal case books. Okay, so I'm going to show you here. This says American Casebook Series, okay? And this is titled Federal Indian Law, all right? And I'm going to open the book just to show you in this book how, just open it to just to a page. I did not plan this. So I just want to show you, when you go, so we're on page 404, and it is Tribal Sovereignty et al. Okay, this is chapter 6. This is chapter 6, and the case that is being presented on page 404 is Oliphant. We have this up here so you can see. I'll read it first and then I'll show you. Oliphant versus Susquamish Indian Tribe, and this is a case that was heard in the Supreme Court of the United States. The date is 1978. Okay, and you can find it. It has the reference where you can actually find it, the citation. Okay, and so this is before Justice Rehnquist. Okay, Chief Justice Rehnquist. He delivered the opinion of the court. It doesn't say here that he's the Chief Justice. I know he was the Chief Justice. I don't know if at the time that he wrote this opinion, because it says 1978, if he was the Chief Justice at that time. However, once you read the case, you can go and read his bio. He is no longer with us, Chief Justice Rehnquist. But here's the case from 1978. See? It's to show you inside the case book of American jurisprudence, okay? Because this is federal Indian law. Let me give it to you so you can see. Federal Indian law, okay? And this is the 3rd edition, which means that there are 2 other editions prior to this one, okay? That's just a sample. An example for me to share with you regarding case law books. Okay, so this is Yah's law book. Okay, coming directly from Yah, involving our ancestors, our people, our culture. Okay, and so that is what I want to. And I keep saying I. Every time I say I, I'm like, it's not really I, because if it was up to me, I would not be doing this. I am not. I have never been like very comfortable, even when I ran for office. Okay, I don't know what was I don't know what was going through my mind. Like I said, sometimes we do things and it's not really of our will, but Yah's will. And so even with that, I have to say that there are things that have happened in my life that were being orchestrated by Yah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Not my plan. Yah's plan and Yah's will. Okay? So we have this contract. Let's get back to contracts. And, I guess this is turning into a contract. It was not supposed to be, I guess. This was about elections, but an election is a contract, an agreement you have between you and whoever it is you have entered into some type of relationship with. Okay, by voting for them, by choosing them, by accepting whatever it is that they have to offer. They present themselves to you as, let's say, for example, a judge. And they say, you vote for me, then I'm going to do blah, 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 ABC, XYZ. And you say, okay, I like what you have offered, okay, what you have presented to me. And as a result of what you have presented to me, I am going to accept that, okay? Offer, acceptance, elements of a contract. Offer, acceptance, and consideration. Okay, the main elements. You must always have an offer, an acceptance, and there has to be consideration. Okay, this is involving a bilateral contract. Okay, you have different types of contracts that have been created by man, but primarily when we are talking about contracts in Yah, um, you know, the Yah's laws are always fair, always. Okay, and in order for individuals to contract, you have to have a meeting of the minds. You have to have a meeting of the minds. And what's interesting is that a lot of the contracts that our ancestors entered into with Yah, a lot of times our people would just they would agree, and it was just like they weren't paying attention. They were not paying attention. So today we have individuals who enter into contracts and they're like, I didn't know what I was signing at the time. And then the first question is, well, didn't you read the document? I didn't bother to read it, because I didn't have time or whatever. It was last minute and I just wanted to get it done and out the way. Oh, so it was like about the immediate want that you had. And what are we dealing with here? An immediate want that our ancestors had. They wanted Yah to give them a king. And so regardless of what his terms were in exchange for him giving them a king, they didn't care. They were just like, whatever. Okay, we want a king. That's what they kept telling Samuel. And so then Samuel went to him and he was like, well, give them what they want, but the contract is the terms that I have presented to them in exchange for me giving them a king stands. If that's what they want, that's what they're begging for. Okay. Remember, he's a parent while at the same time he's professional. Yeah, he's always professional too. He is a parent, but at the same time he's professional. And so he's like, yeah, I love you. But love is not in just giving you what you want and then not attaching any type of consequences to it. See, that is not how Yah operates. Yah is about, everything that he has in his creation operates off the law of cause and effect. They teach you about that also in law school. Mm-hmm. They don't teach it the way Yah does, but there is causation. Okay, causation is an element, and pretty much it is every cause of action. You have to have the causation element, and so in man's laws, he breaks it down because he wants to sever causation. He has to be able to deal with something that his brain can fathom. Yah is omnipotent. And so Yah changes not. And Yah, from there is no beginning, there is no end. I am the Aleph, I am the Tav. I am the beginning and the end. Okay? And so this is Yah. And so when Yah deals with things, it's like causation. There is no need to separate it into proximate cause and then legal cause. It's like legal cause is created so that the mind of the human brain can wrap its mind around what caused us to get where we are. Can't seem to deal with from the beginning. Everything from the beginning is directly connected to, well, I use the word directly, but it's cyclical, right? So we're dealing with circles. A lot of times our brains are like linear, right? We think everything happens in one contiguous line, and that is not how things operate. It just isn't. I know that's how many of us have been taught to think. However, when you begin to study history, and not just your history, and when I say your history, I'm talking about Like, for example, within the nation of the United States, they teach you what they want you to know, but to the exclusion of what has happened pretty much with other nations. And so you learn American history. You don't even learn about your own history. Okay? You know, we'll address that at a later video. Okay? So yes. So here in Samuel 1, chapter 8, the agreement, the bargain for exchange, consideration, offer and acceptance with Yah and his people, it established a contract for them to receive a king. In exchange for them receiving a king, he had conditions, and those conditions were conditions that were going to be attached to, directly attached to them, and how they would be treated by this king. Okay, so I think we're gonna end this particular segment now, and what I will do is I will pick up with the book of Jasher in another one. I know in the beginning I indicated that we would do Samuel and Jasher. However, I see that this is good right here. This is the feeling that I'm getting. And I will have a separate hearing. The court will have a separate discussion regarding the chapters 11 and 12, I believe it is, in the book of Jasher, which I absolutely love. You know, I love the book of, I love Samuel. I love the book of Jeremiah. There's just so many books, and the reason I love them is because these books, many of these books that were removed from many of these cases, okay, that were removed from the versions that you have, they actually explain. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, when you have, I'm going to use American jurisprudence process, okay? When an opinion is originally published, okay, you will have, it is published in a form of it being provided or conveyed to the reader, the audience, in a very logical manner. There is a particular structure that is utilized by everyone who is trained to draft the opinions. Okay, your mind, when you are analyzing, organizing, and facilitating the opinion to be written or memorialized, is going to follow this form. And what happens is that there is usually the opinion that is, when it is unabridged, the opinion writer, okay, I read here where Chief Justice Rehnquist had issued he had authored the opinion of the majority. It was called the majority opinion, and the reason it's the majority opinion when you're dealing with the courts, at least here in the Americas, when you're dealing with the United States, okay, is that the majority opinion is, let's say you have 9 judges, okay, seated, and so they will basically vote. Here we go, vote. Okay, we're election day, we're voting, and you'll either have, based upon the argument that is presented by the attorney or the lawyer or whomever it is who presents their case, the Supreme Court justices will then decide or their law clerks, okay, will decide based upon, research they have conducted regarding the issue presented and argued upon, whether or not they will agree with or, agree they will concur, or they will disagree, okay, or meaning they would dissent, okay, and so when there is the majority, so if there's a majority, right, 5 would be the majority. If there's 9 Supreme Court justices, right, 5 would be the majority. 6 would be the majority. 7, 8, okay. If there's 9, then it's all of them who have agreed, okay. In total, bunk, yes. Obviously that is not relevant, so I'm not even going to go into that. But the majority rules, and so whoever is, I guess, assigned to author, and I have never interned with the Supreme Court of the United States. I have with the Superior Court in Pennsylvania when I was in law school, and then also at the federal level, at the district court level. Okay, so I cannot speak in terms of how, like, from firsthand knowledge, how it is determined that who is going to actually author the majority opinion. Okay, at some point maybe that was taught to me, but it's escaping me right now. I believe it is voted upon, but that is neither here nor there. That is not the point of this discussion. So okay, so we're talking about the opinions that are being released, okay, and the construct of the opinions. So there is a lot of rationalizing, and there is a presentation of the issues and the facts, okay, and then an application, and then you have the law. Of course, you have to have the law, and you're supposed to apply the facts to the law, okay, and that is wherein knowing the elements, okay, is important. And I mentioned in discussing the situation here in 1 Samuel, where we have a contract that is definitely formed, okay, between Yah and his people. We have offer, acceptance, okay, and the consideration, regardless of how, whether you find that it is sufficient or not, even a peppercorn will suffice. It's like whatever the parties to the contract agree, that is what the agreement is, okay? And we have an agreement here between Yah and the people, and so that is what has happened. So, in analyzing whether or not this is a valid contract or not, because you do have some contracts that do tend to lack the elements of whether a contract has even been formed. And in today's society, it appears that there is a huge lack of understanding when even with the courts, with the judges, with other lawyers out there who don't understand that before you can even get to start talking about a contract, you're supposed to deal with the preliminary issue. People don't want to deal with preliminary matters today. They want to go straight to, like, just completely ignore that and go straight into, just jump into the water, not even knowing if there are any rocks or anything that could cause harm or injury to you once you just jump, And so preliminary matters do even have a valid contract. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. And so the valid contract, there are elements that are required in order for that contract to be valid. One of those things is it cannot be forced upon you, threat, duress, coercion, invalidates the contract. if the if the individuals who you are entering into the contract with are if they are incompetent, okay, they're deemed incompetent, not having a certain reaching the level of not reaching the age of majority, okay, and there are some exceptions to that. All right, so we do have certain requirements, and so all of this would be included in the reasoning section, okay, of these opinions. All right, so when you're dealing with a textbook, this is why I'm going through this, okay, because it's all related. I'm not just pontificating in front of you. What I am telling you, of course, it is, I'm dialoguing with you off the top of my head. Remember, this is what I have been trained in, and so this is what I know. It is a part of me. Okay, Yah indicated that he wrote his laws on our inner parts. So there are things that we actually have internally that is a part that has become a part of us that we just automatically know. Just like we know the difference between right and wrong. We know. Many of us may not want to acknowledge that we know, but we know. Okay, so getting back to the shortened version that may be included in a textbook, okay, that you are studying either in law school or where have you. So what you can do, what they do, or at least what they used to have prior to the advent of technology and you being able to obtain documents online, is that you could go to the book and actually read the entire case, because sometimes you don't have the entire case, which includes the entire, like all of the details surrounding like the leading up to the decision, okay, of the court. And the reason I tell you this is because I had mentioned some of the books that were actually removed from Yah's law book. Some of those books actually provide you with the details that are necessary for you to understand what is going on and why it is that Yah has made some of the decisions, or even like some of our ancestors made the decisions that they did. And so getting back to like the book of Jasher, oh my goodness, there's so much missing information that is found in the book of Jasher regarding, like, concerning our grandfather, great whatever, to whatever degree, grandfather Abraham. Okay, and then also, his grandson Jacob, whose name was changed by Yah to Yashar'el, and his sons, and the magnificent things that they were able to do and accomplish because they had Yah on their side. It is so like awe-inspiring. Like it really fills your heart with such pride that, and I'm using the word pride because there was a time in our existence when our people were unstoppable in everything that they did. It is magnificent, and I am going to share certain parts of how magnificent our people were and how we can again become that way. Okay, from by reading to you certain chapters from the book of Jasher. And I'm not going to start at the beginning because it is a rather it is a rather involved book, and because of the times that we are living in, and because of the amount of time, like how quickly time is actually going these days, I am choosing to share with you because I see like where we are and what it is that is needed. Our people need healing. You need healing. You need to be told something different than what you have been hearing in terms of who you are, and whose you are. And I'm here to tell you that Yah loves you. Yah loves you. He has always loved you. And just because he disciplines you, it doesn't mean that he doesn't love you. It doesn't mean that he has forsaken you. Yes, he has gone quiet because he is a parent. And a lot of times when we disrespect our parents, or we we do something that displeases our parents, our parents will give us the silent treatment. And so in certain situations, Yah has done that. But when Yah does this, he tells us, again, he is fair. He will tell us how long or what those conditions are based upon, wherein he will actually return or lend us his ear. Okay? So, he tells you what causes him to turn away, right? He will, and when he will not hear you. But then he also tells you what you can do so that he will begin to listen. And remember what I said. Daily, courts are being held. Petitions are being taken to the courts of heaven. Okay? So this is not, Yah is fair. He is. He's not like that the enemy adversary. Not at all. The enemy adversary is very unfair and just all about just all about their just taking whatever they can from us and just removing us by any means necessary and causing harm and injury to us with no recourse, no manner of recourse. Never, it's like they pick and choose who they want to compensate. And then for the majority of us, they dismiss our cases or just tell us basically that, we there's no remedy at their laws for us. Yah doesn't operate like that. You cause harm, there, right in his law book, there is recourse. It is specifically laid out. First 5 books of the law book. It's the laws. Him specifically laying out the law. We got creation, and we have Leviticus, where he's going through even like dietary laws and everything. He tells us what it is we are supposed to eat, what it is we are not supposed to eat. Okay? And it's like, there's a reason for all of this. Yah is not just telling us things because because he's looking to profit. Like, what does he gain from telling us not to do something? What does he gain? Whereas on the opposite, what does the adversary or his enemy gain from them telling us not to do something? What do they gain from having a separate set of laws on the books, one for their people and one for us? Okay, what do they gain? Ask yourself that question. What does Yah have to gain from telling us not to do something that you might enjoy doing? What does he have to gain? He loves us. And see, when someone loves you unconditionally, they don't want to see you hurt in any kind of way. They're not going to let you do something that's going to hurt you, and they know that it's going to hurt you. They're going to speak out about it. They're going to tell you, don't do that, because if you do that, then this is what's going to happen. It might not always follow with it. This is what's going to happen. It's one of those situations again where I'm the parent and I'm telling you not to do it, and I don't need to give you an explanation right now, because even if I try to give you an explanation, you're not going to understand it. Parents, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's just best to just give the instruction or the direction, and later on, understanding will come. That's how we are. So, as adults, or that's what we call ourselves, because to Yah, we are still children. We do not have all the answers. We are not omnipotent. Just because some of us have an education administered to us by the enemy, does not mean that we know everything. And that now we don't have to listen to anyone. And that now we have all the answers. It doesn't mean that just because we have certain titles, Pharisees and scribes, doctors and lawyers, priests, magistrates, whatever titles we have, it doesn't mean that we are God. It doesn't mean that we are the Elohim. It doesn't mean none of that. It doesn't mean that we are omnipotent. Who are we? Who did we breathe the breath of life in and create, mold from the ground, and then give life to? And who did we do that? Did we create the heavens and the earth? Okay, so we're here and we're creative, right? And we create other things. But does that make us capable of replacing our Elohim? So again, today is election day. And there are many of us who still choose to participate in selecting those who are going to rule over us. Our time is running out, and Yah is waiting. Yah is waiting for us to return to Him. Return to Him as in acknowledging Him in everything that we do, turning away from idol worshiping, turning away from, choosing others over Him, choosing living others and non-living others over Him. It is where we are today. Brothers and sisters, Yashar'el. This is Yashar'el and Harmon'El of the Yahar'el Indigenous Tribal Court. Finishing up with a brief discussion. It is brief. I mean, it's despite the timing on this, it is. I think I've edified you, at least, with sharing some law knowledge with you on contracts, negotiations, mediations, elections, all of these topics. There are laws governing all of them. Okay, I told you. Law for your life, contracts for your life. The first and only book that you really need is Yah's law book. You read this, you will understand. You will develop a level of understanding. And I'd say understand. I know some people use the term overstand, but see, it's when you put yourself over something, that means that you are at the head. You are controlling it. Again, we are all servants of Yah. Remember what he said about Job, my favorite servant, right? Servant. We are his children. And our understanding is not his understanding. Okay? He says that. He doesn't use overstanding. So, we have to be careful what we say, especially utilizing this English language. You have to be careful. I'm not telling you that you need to walk around with a dictionary or anything like that. Just be mindful of what you say and how you operate. Because our words, our deeds, our thoughts, He created us in His image. And when I begin to share with you some of the stories from the book of Jasher, you will be amazed. You will be amazed. If you think that the so-called superheroes that have been created by Marvel and DC Comics are far out, why did I just use that term? Just awesome, superb, magnificent, outrageous, whatever however you want to identify their abilities. You have seen nothing compared to what our ancestors used to be able to do. Nothing. It's amazing. It's amazing. And when I started reading the book of Yashar'el, I was like, oh my God, this must be where they actually got the idea of like superheroes, you know? It's amazing. It's just amazing. So I say that because I have already told you that I'm not going to go through the entire book of Yashar'el with you. I am reading, my family is reading the book of Yashar'el, and we read the book of Yashar'el as we pray. We do our lessons daily. We are now in the book of Yashar'el, and it is just amazing what we have been reading. And but for you, it is about what is relevant now for what it is that you need. And so I will be choosing the chapters that I will share with you, and then you can take your time to actually read the book of Yashar'el. And I hope that you are inspired, empowered, and just really taken aback by the wondrous actions that our ancestors were able to execute because they walk with Yah. Because they walk with Yah. And so with that, I thank you, Toda, 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 for giving me your time on this this November 2nd, 2021. Addressing elections in the contract concerning our responsibilities that were bestowed upon us because we told our Elohim that we did not want him to be our king, but that we wanted him to actually give us a living being to rule over us, so that we may be like all the nations. Toda.